Hey everybody, and welcome to Crow Pose. This is Crow Pose for beginners. Now, I have researched lots of techniques on how to do Crow Pose, and even myself, I've been practicing yoga for quite a few years, and I've been teaching for a fair few years as well. I have not really practiced any really advanced yoga postures, but it's something I've been starting to do with my students. I want to give them a bit of a challenge. So in order to do that challenge, I then myself have to do the same work. So what I've done for a couple of terms, a spring yoga term and then a summer yoga term, I spent a lot of time doing these strengthening drills for my students. And I worked on 3 particular parts of the body, and that was our abdominals and our arms and our shoulders, and the next part was working on the hip flexors. So these 3 parts is what we were trying to strengthen. So week in, week out, I was putting in these strengthening drills within the yoga class to try and get them a lot stronger, and also to help me get stronger as well. And I never told them what posture we were going to be working towards the end of the summer, or that we were going to practice. And I led them to no illusion that they would be able to do this posture, even though we'd done all the strengthening exercises. But what I did see was a really big improvement in their strength, even holding planks. So even if this posture remains elusive to you, the idea is to just keep practicing, not just practicing the posture, but practicing techniques, strengthening drills on your arms, your shoulders, on your hip flexors, and on your abdominals. So that is the first thing. The second thing with doing crow pose is that your crow pose will always look something different to somebody else's. They're not going to be the same. And it doesn't actually matter where your knees are on your upper arms. That is your crow pose. There's 2 postures that look very similar. We've got crow pose and we've got crane pose. Crane pose is where the arms are completely straight and the knees are tucked right in towards the armpits. You really do need a significant amount of strength to be able to do that. But crow pose, I believe, is the easier of the 2 balances to start working with, to start building up your strength. And then it's about knowing the alignment of this posture. You will see many classes on YouTube about how to do crow pose, okay? And I am not an expert on crow pose. I've only just started doing it myself. I cannot really hold it very much in the middle of the floor. I've just started to be able to do that. But what I'm going to show you today is a technique where you put your head up against the wall, just so you start to experience where your balance has got to be. Because yes, you do need strong wrists, you do need strong arms, you do need to work on your abdominal strength, you do need to work on your hip flexor strength, but it's not all about that. It's about the belief that you can do this posture. And if you can't do it today, it's not without reach. You can do it, you just need to practice. It just needs to be a consistent practice. The second thing is, yes, work on those muscles. And the third thing is getting the alignment right. I don't believe that you should practice it in the middle of the floor or with a block, balancing your forehead on the block straight away. I believe using a wall and putting the crown of your head against the wall is a very good way in learning where your centre of gravity has got to be, because everybody's centre of gravity is slightly different. We all have different length arms, shorter or longer bodies. We have longer legs or shorter legs. And it means that when you're doing it against the wall, you get to play around and notice where your tipping point is, where your hips have got to be in alignment with your head and your shoulders. And also it stops you from falling forwards. And I believe once you do that, then yes, come into the middle of the floor, put a great big cushion off your sofa, put it on the floor, and then practice it in the middle of the floor. And practice just accidentally falling, because you need to know what it feels like to fall flat on your face but not hurt yourself. So today is a short practice, a shortened down practice that I did with my yoga students, with some warm-ups excuse me, a lot of warm-ups on the shoulders and the wrists, and then a couple of short flows to get our body nice and warm. And then I'm going to show you how to do crow pose against the wall. Like I said, I am no expert at it, but I know everything in how to teach it to myself and how to teach it to my students and how to teach it to others. And then apart from that, it's down to me to keep practicing, to keep that consistency up so I know how to do it, and I can do it more or less perfectly each time. So please don't look at me as an expert that I can do it. I just know how we need to be practicing for it. So if you are a beginner yogi, or if you've been practicing for quite a few years and this posture has been totally out of reach for you, or you're not quite sure how to do it, or lots of other people will show you how to do it in the middle of the floor with blocks and it's just not happening for you, I hope that this will help you. So if you'd like to join me, and just want to say that this is my channel, Inner Balance Sacred Space. My name is Sheila, and if you like what I do, then please subscribe to my channel. So I would like you to lie down on your back. And please do excuse me, I'm getting over a virus, so I may cough, I might need to blow my nose. I'm not a great editor of my videos. What you see is what you get. Sometimes I make mistakes, sometimes I say the wrong thing, and every teacher does that, and I'm not afraid to show you my flaws. So there we go. So I'd like you to bend your knees, have your feet flat on the floor. You're going to begin on your back, and you're just going to bring your arms up over your head. You're going to hold on to both of your elbows. Just going to close your eyes. Just let your breath settle. start to focus on your breath. Let your mind come into stillness. Gently feel your chest and your upper back and your shoulders just stretching out and opening. Bring your arms down, bring your knees into your chest, give your knees a hug. Squeeze your knees in, and I want you to bring your hands down to the floor. Then what I want you to do is to bring your head up, squeeze your forehead towards your knees and your knees towards your forehead. Use your abdominals, keep squeezing in. And release back down to the floor. Roll over to your right or your left and gently come up. So I'd like you also just to be aware of the space that you might be in. Usually in sun salutations, I bring my arms up to the side because my mat is right against the wall. I'm bringing them up in front, and there's quite a bit of a long sequence where we go back, so you might find yourself shuffling off your mat. Of course there's a wall there, so I may need to shuffle forwards. So always be totally aware of the space that you're in and just adjust everything for the room that you have to practice in. Then come into a comfortable seated position. Bring your arms down by your sides, and we're going to start working on your shoulders, so squeeze them up towards your ears. And slowly release down. Inhale, squeeze. Exhale, release. And again, squeeze. And release. Put your hands on your shoulders and big circles with your elbows. You're just trying to get all the muscles around the shoulders, the upper chest, the upper back, all warmed up for crow pose. It's really important to warm these specific muscles up before you attempt yoga postures. Okay, change direction. I'm not going to concentrate on the strengthening exercises that I did with my yogis today, because there was quite a lot. But I am open to putting a set of these on my channel if you're really interested in what drills I did and you haven't got access to the private one because you're not my student. But like I said, I'm really open to sharing my knowledge. So bring your arms down. Now bring your hands together and your elbows together in front of you. Just to get those shoulders working a little bit more, you're going to bring your arms up over your head and then down. So the secret here is not to let the elbows come apart. So if you get to here and they start doing this, keep them in. This is a really good exercise for working on the arms and the shoulders. Okay, release and let go. So now we want to just stretch those muscles out. I'm just going to turn around, bring your right arm over your head, hold on to the elbow, lift the arm up and stretch it over. Take hold of the opposite elbow, lift up and over. Back to the other side. This time drop the right hand down towards the left shoulder blade. Try not to do this. Lift up your chest. Keep your head upright. And then change sides. And release. You're just going to work on warming up the wrists. So bring your hands out, make fists and circle. Change direction. Bring your hands out, flex your wrists up and down. Okay, make fists with your hands again. Bring your arms up like you're being a muscle man, and you're going to pull your knuckles in towards the inside of your wrists. You're going to get a nice stretch on the outside of the wrist here. And now keep your knuckles coming in towards the inside of your wrists. Straighten your arms. You feel a nice stretch now going down into your forearms. Stretch out as much as you can, keeping the knuckles in towards the inside of the wrist, and then relax. Come back, make fists, same again. Keeping them pulled in and lengthen all the way out. That's such a nice stretch actually on those forearms. And release. Come in one more time. Fists, Knuckles in, stretch out. And release. This is quite a good one for strengthening up your wrists and getting your wrists really moving. You're just going to do like birdie fingers with your hands. But now what I want you to do is to bring your arms up over your head and do it. And then get your hands to go faster. You should get this nice little pleasant ache into your fingers. Into your wrists. Keep going. Keep going so you feel like you're going out of rhythm. And release. Give them a shake. Okay, come onto your hands and knees. Have your hands underneath your shoulders. Just going to do a few little circles around the wrists. So another thing when it comes to putting your hands down on the floor, and we do that quite a lot. We do that in cat-cow, we do that in downward facing dog, so it doesn't have to be arm balances. It can just be inversions on the hands as normal throughout our yoga practice. I'm going to go in the opposite direction. So the important thing with your hands is to make sure that all the pads of your fingers are curling and pushing into the floor. You want good contact between your index finger and your thumb into the floor, and also the underside of the knuckles as well. So you really want to try and use your hands and not just your wrists when you're doing yoga. Another thing with some people is they haven't got the flexibility in their wrists. If you're still doing circles, just come off and don't do that anymore. So you may not have this 90 degree flexion in your wrists and your hands. And if that is you, you might need to build some height up here just underneath your wrists. So if I just use my mat as an example, so I'm just going to roll it. And now if I put the base of my wrist down, now that lessens the angle of my wrist joint. You still got to try and do as much as you can, pressing your fingers into the floor, maybe getting the knuckles down onto the floor. But that's what you need to do working with your wrists if you haven't got that flexibility. You can roll up a little you can roll up a little blanket and do it like that. Or even if you've got those very thin foam sponges, that's another way to do it. Just put your hands on the edge there. Coming back into tabletop. Pressing your hands into the floor. You're now going to take your weight beyond your hands. Keep your arms straight. And then come back almost into child's pose. Take the weight off. Come forwards. Take the weight into your hands and your wrists. Coming back. So again, if this feels slightly weak for you, then this is a sign that you need to start doing these sort of exercises to strengthen up your wrists. This time come forwards. You're going to hold it. Come forwards like you're trying to lean over and look down the edge of a building or cliff. Keep your hands pressed into the floor, strong arms, engaged abdominals, and come back. So you should feel now how much strength you need to have in your hands and your wrists, just to balance, even though you've got your knees still on the floor. And release back. Make your feet as wide as your mat. Come all the way back into Malasana. Now this is a good posture to practice, because even though you've got your knees wide, you've got them pressing into your elbows, your hips are really flexed, which is what you need when you do crow pose. Now walk your hands out, come into downward facing dog. Have a little paddle through your feet. Stretch out your legs, stretch out your back. Think about your hands having a grip in the floor like Superman. Sorry, not Superman, Spider-Man. Gradually walk your feet towards the top of your mat. And exhale into a forward fold. Lengthen your spine. Inhale, half flat back, hands on the floor on your shins. And then all the way up. We're going to do one round of Surya Namaskar. And then we're going to go into a slightly different flow to get some of those muscles working that we need to use for our crow pose. So again, remember the space you are in and work with what you can do and work with the space. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, fold forwards. Inhale, half flat back, hands on the floor on the shins. Exhale, fold. Inhale, take your right leg to the back of your mat. Sink into your lunge, lift up your heart space. Into a plank. So nice and strong here in your abdominals and your arms. And then drop your knees. Slowly lower to the floor. Use your arm muscles to come into 8-point posture. Inhale, cobra. Squeeze your glutes, use your back muscles. Exhale down, toes under, and inhale, downward facing dog. Adjust your feet. And then right knee into your chest. Keep your hips high as you step forwards and sink down into your lunge. Exhale, step forwards into your forward fold. Inhale, half flat back. Exhale, fold. Inhale, hinging up from your hips. Use your back muscles, use your abdominals. Arms up over your head. Exhale, hands to your heart. Other side, inhale, reaching up. Exhale, folding forwards. Inhale, half flat back. Exhale, fold. Inhale your left leg back. Coming into Anjaneyasana. Into a plank. Nice and strong here. Exhale, knees, chest, chin. To Ashtangasana on the floor. Inhale, cobra. Exhale, toes under. Inhale, downward facing dog. Exhale, left knee into your chest, hips high, step forwards into your lunge. Into your forward fold. Exhale. Inhale, half flat back. Exhale, fold. Inhale. Arms up into the air, lifting up out of your waist. Exhale, arms down. Inhale, reaching up. Lengthening, exhale to the floor. Inhale, half, pushing through the crown of your head, flat back. Exhale, down. Inhale your right leg to the back of your mat, sinking into your lunge. Lift up your heart space. You're going to drop your back knee to the floor and send your left foot back into tabletop. Going to inhale, drop your belly. Exhale, tuck under, chin towards your chest. Now this movement's quite important, so inhale, drop your belly. Send your chest forwards. As you exhale, pull your tummy muscles in and up. Squeeze yourself away from the floor. Inhale. Exhale, push away. Pull your tummy muscles in. Get them to engage. Inhale, drop your belly. This time, send your right leg out behind you. Exhale, pull it in. Forehead towards your knee. Same sort of action. Inhale, drop your belly, tiger pose. Exhale, squeeze your knee in, push yourself away from the floor, feel your abdominals engage. Inhale, drop the leg out to the back and then pull it back in. This time step your leg out and come into plank pose. I'm just going to walk myself forwards because I know I'm not going to have the room. Going to come into a side plank. You're going to twist your feet to the right. Hand on your hip or arm into the air. You want your right foot in front of your left, particularly if you're just starting to learn side plank. It's good, stable base for your feet. And then bring yourself down to the front of your mat. Drop your knees. This is where you might need to scoot forward a little bit. You're going to come back onto your feet, coming into a really low squat. As you're here, tuck your knees into your armpits and reach forwards. Squeeze your tummy muscles in, push yourself away from the floor a little, and then release. Down onto your sit bones. We are going to go down onto the floor a little bit, so you might need to scoot yourself forward if you're like me and you're lacking in space. Going to inhale up, exhale, roll back. Going to work on those tummy muscles a bit. Inhale up, exhale back. Squeeze those tummy muscles in. Use them to pull yourself up and back. Pull up and back. Hold it here. Try and relax everything. Just feel these tummy muscles working. Come all the way down. Bring your knees into your chest. Hands up as if you're balancing on the ceiling. Straight arms. Pull your knees towards your upper arms, so past your elbows. Squeeze in and release. So release the knees and then squeeze your knees in. Use your tummy muscles. Squeeze and release. So you're basically doing a version of crow pose on your back. Squeeze it in, squeeze those tummy muscles in. You might feel these hip flexors starting to engage and release. So even bring your head up off the floor and do the same thing. Squeeze in and release. Cross your ankles over. Gently roll up. Or come onto your side and do it. All the way up. Into a forward fold. Exhale, lengthen the spine. Inhale, half flat back. Exhale, down. Inhale, standing up. Arms up over your head, reaching up, little back bend. Exhale, arms down. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale, lengthen half, pushing through the crown of your head. Exhale, release. Inhale, this time send your left leg to the back of your mat. Sink into your lunge. So really stretching out your hip flexors here. Then drop your back knee to the floor and come back into your tabletop. Just going to scoot myself forwards. Cat-cow again, so inhale, drop your belly. Belly should be relaxed, chest comes forward. But now as you curl and tuck under, you're squeezing those tummy muscles in and up. Chin to your chest. Inhale, drop your belly. Exhale, tuck under, squeeze, push yourself away from the floor. 2 more, inhale. As you squeeze yourself away from the floor, the shoulder blade should round. 1 more. Exhale. Now going to come into tiger pose, so inhale, left leg out behind you. Gently look up. Exhale again, that same motion, squeezing in, push yourself away from the floor, forehead towards your knee. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. 1 more, because I can't remember if we did 3 or 4 on the other side. Then send the leg out to the back. Come into plank pose, a really good posture for strengthening up your arms and your abdominals. Make sure you're not up here. Make sure you're not down here, because your belly's soft and relaxed. Squeeze up and then twist your legs to the left. Left foot in front of your right, hand on your hip or arm into the air for a side plank. Release it down. Come all the way back into this low squat. Elbows forward, hands forward, knees into your armpits. Push yourself away from the floor. Turn and squeeze those tummy muscles and release. Scoot myself forward again. Working your abdominals. Inhale up. Exhale, roll down. Inhale up. Exhale. You want to feel like your tummy muscles are the only muscles that are really working. Everything's really soft. And then your tummy muscles squeeze and work like a pulley holding you. And then they pull you back up again. And down and back. Hold it here. Try not to hold your breath. Squeeze all the way down. Keep your head up off the floor, arms up, squeeze in, release, squeeze in, release, squeeze in, release down to the floor. Bring your feet down, arms down, just a few moments breath here. Okay, if you have got the strength to roll up from a sitting position, you can just cross your ankles, hold on to your toes, roll up, or roll onto your side and come up. And you're going to come all the way over, and this time step back. Into downward facing dog. So think about how you're gripping your hands onto your mat, like Superman, why do I keep saying that? Like Spider-Man, climbing a wall, suckering his hands up. Spider-Man, not Superman. Okay, beware the space behind you. Bring your right leg up behind you. You're going to curl it forwards into plank pose. And again, squeeze that knee in, push yourself away from the floor, round your back. Inhale, three-legged dog. Exhale, this time bring the knee up towards your elbow, into your upper arm as much as you can. Inhale back. And again, knee towards your right arm, squeeze it in, get as high as it can, and back. And then this time, take your foot to the outside of your right hand. Drop your back knee to the floor. You're going to come into lizard pose. Try and get those hips nice and flexible. So you can either stay here, but you want to try and split your legs as much as you can. Or you might want to build up a couple of blocks and rest your elbows on the blocks, or come down to the floor. So when we were doing a lot of strengthening exercises, we were doing a lot of planks, we're doing a lot of forearm planks, a lot of like press-ups in plank, dolphin poses, everything to try and get those arms a little bit stronger. So really sinking down as much as you can. And tuck your back toe under. Push up. And come back into downward facing dog. Take the left leg up into the air behind you. You're going to curl it forward, so come forward into your plank. First of all, bring your knee into your chest, squeeze away from the floor. Inhale back. This time, knee towards your left arm. Try and get as high up on your arm as possible. And come back. Or you're just aiming towards the left arm. Squeeze it in. And back. This time take the foot to the outside of the left foot. So left hand, drop your knee down. Sink into your lizard pose. So split your legs as much as you can. You might feel a really big contraction of your hip. You might not. Everybody is different. Everybody feels things in a different way. But generally what you're doing here is just trying to get those hips really loosened up. foot under, step back into plank pose. You're going to inhale, exhale, inhale, downward facing dog. Don't move your feet or your hands, roll through your spine, coming into plank. Inhale back, exhale forwards, using your arms, your abdominals. Inhale back, exhale forwards. This time come back, adjust your feet. Inhale, right leg into the air. Bring it into your chest. You're going to step forwards. Come into a high lunge. Stay on the ball of your back foot. Press your feet into the floor. Ground yourself as you lift up. Lift up your chest. Good sturdy balance. And then you're going to move forwards into pyramid pose. If you need blocks underneath your hands, then do so. And just make sure that your right hip is back and your left hip is slightly forwards. So trying to bring your hips into alignment with each other. It's going to take a few breaths here. You can lower gently, try and stretch out a little bit more. You're going to step forwards into a chair pose. Bring your hands to your heart. Come down into toe balance. Don't sink down here. Push yourself away from the floor so you're strengthening up your thighs. And then all the way back. Try and keep your knees in towards your arms. Lift up and balance. Squeeze your tummy muscles in. Push away. Step back into plank. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale, downward facing dog. Exhale, roll through your spine into plank. Inhale back. Exhale forwards. And again. As you come back into downward facing dog, adjust your feet a little and bring your left leg into the air behind you, hips square, pull it into your chest, step forwards, coming into a high lunge. You want your feet hip distance apart, hips facing forwards. Ground your feet into the earth. Nice deep breathing. Then bring your heel to the floor. Slowly move forwards, straightening both your legs. Pyramid pose. Right hip forwards, left hip back. Try and square the hips. You should be feeling sufficiently warm now to practice crow pose. You're going to step forwards. Chair pose, hands to the heart. Come down onto the toe balance. All the way down to the floor. Legs out. Inhale up. Exhale. Forward fold. Just staying here for a couple of breaths. then gently coming up. So now it's time to get into the swing of practicing crow pose. So like I said, what you've got to do is believe that you have this can-do attitude. So believe that you can do it. Even if you can't do it today, you can work towards it. Okay, there's really nothing stopping you from working towards this balance. Try and do some strengthening exercises. You need to strengthen up your wrists, the arms, the shoulders, your abdominals, your hip flexors. And like I said, if you're really interested in what drills I did with my yoga class, then drop me a message in the notes, in the comments, and I'll quite happily put one together for you. The next thing is alignment. Alignment of where your body needs to be. Because the whole thing is learning where your centre of gravity is. So like I have said, your centre of gravity is going to be different from my centre of gravity. Okay? When it comes to being, finding that specific place against the wall, we've all got different length bodies. So you have to play around with the posture and see where you need to be, where your hands need to be away from the wall. And what you want to do is try and get the crown of your head against the wall, which is a bit difficult for me because today I've put my hair up in a bun, so not the best hairdo to have for crow pose. But never mind, I can still teach you how to do it. So when you're doing crow pose, this is why I don't recommend you start doing it in the middle of the floor straight away, because you actually need to lean forwards when you're in crow pose much more than you think you're going to be. You know, you're going to feel yourself falling forwards, and I think having a wall there is a really good place to start, to help you find that place where you need to be. So first thing you need to do is have the creases of your elbows facing directly out in front. So that may mean, for some of you, that your hands are not going to be facing directly forwards. Your hands might need to be turned out a little because, like I said, everybody's anatomy is slightly different. But whatever your hands and your wrists and your arms are doing, you definitely need the creases of your elbows to be facing out to the front. Okay, so you need to rotate the arms out. And the reason for this is that when you bend them, you want your elbows to be close into your body. You don't want your elbows to be out here doing like chicken wings. First of all, the reason for this is it's really unstable on your wrists for that to be happening. I can feel that it's twinging my wrists as I do this. Also, you want your legs, your knees, to be resting on your upper arms, which means your knees are going to be out here. So another thing that's, it's not really a very good alignment. It's not a good practice because you're just not you're not going to get that centre of gravity. So elbow creases are forwards, so you can bend the elbows and they come in like this. So at the moment, if you look at where my my arms are, they're making this slanting position here. What I want is for these elbows to move forwards and make like a little shelf here, so I can rest my knees on this shelf. Much like as you go down into like a chaturanga position, that your elbows come into this sort of position, so you can rest your knees on your elbows here. If they're out here, it's going to make it a lot more difficult, and like I say, you're going to strain your wrists. You are going to feel this on your wrists. There's no way around that. You know, like I said, a lot of postures are on wrists, so you've got to try and remember to press that weight into your hands. Okay, so elbow creases forwards, making a platform, so for your knees to rest on, and then you want your knees to come onto this part of your arm. Now, it really doesn't matter where your knees are positioned, whether you can get them right up onto your upper arm here, or whether they're in the middle, whether they're just resting here on this part of your elbow here. That is your crow pose. That is your beginner's crow pose, and that is where you're going to start. Okay, don't look at what everybody else is doing. Don't look at what Instagrammable yogis are doing, how they're doing their crow pose. It's your crow pose. This is how it's going to feel for you. This is how it's going to look for you while you're learning. And once you keep doing it, then you will start to improve. Okay, so now I'm going to attempt to show you how to do it against the wall. Trying to pull my bum down because I know it's going to be in the way. And like I said, I may not get up into it first time round. It might take me a couple of times. In fact, I'm going to do it wrong a few times because I want you to see where I'm putting my hands in relation to my body and my head being against the wall. So if I start here, I'm going to start from a standing position. Going to bend my elbows. Going to rest my knees into my elbows, into my upper arms. I'm going to lean forwards. Now my head, before I lift my feet up off the floor, is way too far from the wall. So I'm just going to topple over, smash my head into the wall. So that is not where my hand's going to be. So what you're going to do is you're just going to bring your hands forward a little bit. Don't step them right here, because then you're going to be too close. And then you're going to go, oh, I need to be back here. And you're just going to be doing this all the time. Just a little bit of a movement to know where you're going to be. So I brought my hands forward a little bit, come up into standing, bend into the elbows, rest my knees into the elbows, lean forwards, because I want to get my elbows and my elbows in line. My wrists and my elbows in line. I'm still too far away from the wall. So I'm going to move my hands a little bit closer. Now I'm getting there. I can feel my hair just touching the wall. Okay, tiny little bit closer. Bend. Knees in. Lean forward with elbows coming over your wrists. Now my crown of my head is right up against the wall. I'm going to engage my tummy muscles and start to lift. And there we have it. It's a really good feeling when you can get that balance, and then when you get it, you start pulling your tummy muscles in. So remember, like cat-cow, you want to start lifting yourself up off the floor, rounding your shoulders, you know, and it is all about that little bit of practice and finding where you need to be. Now, once you get where your hands need to be from the wall, you can just keep going into it and practicing it. Lift one leg up and then the other. Try not to press your forehead right into the wall. It's like when you are trying to do a balance on your feet and your balance is feeling really off and rubbish that day. So what you want to do is just gently put your hand on the wall, 2 fingers, to help stabilise you. And this is exactly what you're doing with the crown of your head. It's just a gentle touch so you know that you are safe. You know that you can then put all your power into doing the posture, pushing yourself away, engaging those tummy muscles, trying to find where your balance is. Okay, so that is what I suggest that you do. Use a wall to help you to get there, and at the same time strengthen up your shoulders, work on your wrist strength, work on the flexibility, work on your abdominals, work on pulling your hip flexors and raising them up like boat pose in towards your chest. Okay, and then getting the alignment right. So these elbows over your wrists, that's really important. And then keep leaning forwards, going beyond what you think is where you need to balance. Okay, and then if you find the wall too difficult, put your head up against the sofa. So if you feel like you are going to whack your head against the wall, perhaps do it up against something that's soft, like the mattress of your bed, the corner of your bed, or the sofa in your living room. And then you can start to bring a big cushion out, and I wish I brought one up with me today, because what I want to show you is you've got to learn to fall. So once you start practicing in the middle of the room, you want to practice falling. So you want to come up, come onto your elbows, and then just slip off and land and put your head into a blanket, actually not a blanket, into a cushion. It's got to be a cushion or a cushion off your sofa that you sit on. Okay, so practice doing it purposefully, falling. Come in here, falling, face flat into your cushion, so you know what it feels like. Because even when you've perfected your crow pose, even when you've perfected it in the middle of the floor, there's always going to be times when you're not going to be feeling your best, your balance is going to be off, and you're going to fall. So please do not believe that when you see all these beautiful pictures of yogis doing their postures, quite often they've done it time and time again, and it might be the 5th take out of the pictures that they've been doing that they've actually balanced. You know, I'm human, and I've got to say that when I teach a class in the morning and I balance, it can be completely different to how I do it in the evening and how my balance is feeling. I'm not perfect. I'm not going to get it perfect every single time. I am going to fall. Even when I have mastered something, There are going to be times when it's just not going to happen, or it's going to be very difficult, or I'm going to fall. And that is just life. But I would encourage you to do it up against the wall and just use the crown of your head as that little bit of a safety net, just as you would do put 2 fingers on the wall if your balance is not feeling that good and you're doing a standing balance. Okay, so now you know how to do crow pose up against the wall. We are just going to do a little stretch out. So you can pause the video if you want, or rewind it and practice crow pose a little bit more. Or if you're done, come into reverse tabletop. This is just to stretch out your hips. Release down to the floor. Bring your knees into your chest and drop your knees to the left. Coming into a deep belly twist. Shuffle around to get your upper back flat on the floor. If the right shoulder comes up off the floor, don't worry about it. Put your left hand on the outside of your right knee. Just make sure your right shoulder is comfortable as you've come into this twist. And take a few breaths here. And start to close your eyes. Squeeze your knees into your chest, roll onto your back. And then you're going to drop your knees to the right. Keep your knees on top of each other. Let your lower legs come to the floor. Put your right hand on the outside of your left leg. Shimmy around, try and get your upper back flat onto the floor if you can. If the left shoulder's slightly off the floor, don't worry about it. Just put your left hand wherever is comfortable for your shoulder. Again, take a few breaths here. And pull your knees into your chest with your tummy muscles, roll onto your back. I'm going to come into a little bit of relaxation, because after any class, even if it's 20 minutes, you want to have a little bit of R&R just to soak up the benefits of that class, to let your muscles relax as you've been stretching and contracting them. So come onto your back. Come into Shavasana. Have your feet separated, hip distance. Maybe even wider if you need them. Arms away from your body, palms turned up, chin towards your chest a little. Just take a slow, deep breath in. And as you exhale, just let go. Let all the air flow out. Let your body sink in to the earth. Just let your breath come back to its natural, passive breathing rate. a natural breath. Just every time you exhale, just imagine that you are letting go a little bit more. Your body is becoming heavier every time you exhale. Sinking deeper and deeper into the earth. Just feel the flow of your breath. Just feel the cool air as it enters your nose. The warm air as it flows back out again. Just try and keep your focus on your breath. So you can try and clear your mind, let go of your thoughts. If you find yourself being drawn towards your thoughts, when you've noticed that this has happened, just accept it and then say, right, bring my awareness back to my breath. I'd like you to bring your attention to your feet. Relax your toes, your feet and your ankles. Relax your lower legs. Let your knees become soft. Relax your thighs. Relax your glutes. If you're not sure if they are relaxed, give your glutes a squeeze. And then release them. You might find yourself sinking a little bit closer to the earth. Relax your lower back. Relax your belly. The middle of your back, your upper back. Relax your chest. And again, just for a moment, notice the breath. Notice the expansion and contraction of your chest. Relax your shoulders, your arms, your wrists and your hands. Relax your neck and your head. Soften the muscles in your face. Relax your tongue and your jaw. And look out into the darkness of your eyelids. Just for a few moments more, enjoy stillness. Enjoy doing nothing. Just soak up the benefits of your yoga practice. Gently become aware of your body. Feel the back of your body making contact with the earth. You may wish to lie here for a little bit longer. It's entirely up to you. But if you're ready to get up, gently start to move your hands, your feet. Pull your knees into your chest, perhaps massage your spine against the earth. Roll over onto your right if the space allows, if not to your left. Just make a pillow with your hands and just for a moment notice how you feel. When you come up, when you're ready, into a seated position, have your spine nice and tall. Bring your arms out, inhale, stretch up just to reawaken and bring your hands down to your chest. Connect with your heart space. And just thank your body for what it has done for you today. So no matter where you are in your yoga practice, just appreciate where you are, okay? Don't run before you can walk. Everything takes time. Everything takes practice. And it's with consistent practicing that you will achieve what you want to achieve. So thank you for joining me. If you like what I do, please subscribe to my channel. But for now, I want to thank you for joining me for this class. Namaste.